Good morning, a good Erev Shabbos. Welcome to Kol Neshama, where we learn one Perek of Mishnah a day, every day, 6 days a week. Today we are starting Maseches Yoma. We're learning about all the Avodas Yom Kippurim in the base of Midrash with the Kohen Gadol. Very exciting Masechta, and I'm so thankful to have the chance to learn this Masechta with you. Today here is Lila Nishmas Aaron Nachum B'Simcha Kohen Yeshua Mordechai B'Shev Sol Bracha Sar B'Shmuel Leib and B'nai Moshe Ben Yosef. May the Hashem also have an Aliyah and Refuah Shlema for Ada Sar Bas Leah Chana Pesach Bas Yenter Yisrael Ben Rachel Leah Racha Bas Pesach Zelda Arab Yisrael Ben Risha and Chai Bas Tabela Refuah Shlema B'Sel Shar Holy Yisrael. Okay, let's get into this. Mishnah Perek Aleph Mishnah Aleph. Shivas Yom Kodem Yom Kippurim, 7 days before Yom Kippur, beginning on the third of Tishrei, which is Som Gedaliah. Well, back in the day, it wasn't called Som Gedaliah because Gedaliah wasn't assassinated until later on in history. But anyways, Mafrish and Kohen Gadol Mibeso, we separate the Kohen Gadol who will be doing the Avodah Yom Kippur from his home and his wife. And bring him to live in the chamber of the royal officials, which overlooked the chutzner of the Beis Hamikdash. It was actually in the northern side of the Mikdash. What is the Mikdash? Let's see, where is it? At the picture. It was on the northern side, like right, like inside the Azara. So not by the Ezra's Nashim, but by between the Ezra's Yisrael and the slaughtering rings from the Mizbeach was on the northern side of the Mikdash. And in addition, we prepared another Kohen to, for him as a substitute. Shema Yereb Absul, in case of disqualification, in case the Kohen Gadol was disqualified from serving in the Mikdash because of Tumah, and he was unable to purify himself in time for Yom Kippur. But the Skan Kohen Gadol, the backup Kohen was not what's it called? Did not leave his wife for 7 days. Why was it called Palhedrin? It's very interesting because the royal officials, the chamber of the royal officials. What does that mean? So the Bartanura points out that the chamber got its name from the fact that after the death of Shimon HaTzadik, who was a Kohen Gadol for many years by the early part of Bayis Sheni, the office of the Kohen Gadol was sold to the highest bidder. They were Kohanim, but they were not roy to be Kohen Gadol, and therefore, since these Kohanim were not roy for the position of Kohen Gadol, Hashem did not allow them to serve a full year. They were constantly being replaced like royal officials who serve at the king's whim. King can just dispose of his royal officials on a dime, and that's what happened over here. That's why it's called Liskas Palhedrin, from the chamber of the royal officials, because you're buying into the Kahuna. Mistama in Bayis Risha, when you had a few Kohen Gadol, the Gemara says that you had 11 Kohen Gadol, or maybe 12 in Bayis Rishon. I mean, they need to go through this whole process over here. There's a lot of Bayis Sheni. Anyways, Rabbi Yehuda says, Af Isha Acheres Maskinan Lo. We also prepare another woman for the Kohen Gadol to marry. Shema Tamas Ishto, in case his current wife should suddenly die on Yom Kippur before he completes the avodah, which will prevent him from continuing the avodah until he remarries, because the Kohen Gadol has to be married to the avodah. Shemar, as it says, V'chiper V'ado V'abeso, and the Kohen referring to Aaron over here should should um, should provide atonement for himself and for his household. Beso zu ishto. And we learn from the Torah Shabbat that his household, quote unquote, refers to his wife. That therefore the Torah teaches that Aaron or any subsequent Kohen Gadol must have a wife whom to provide atonement for on Yom Kippur. If he does not, he cannot perform the avoda on that day. Amrullah, the Chachamim said to him, said Rabbi Yehuda, Im Kain, if so, then we are concerned with the sudden death of his current wife, and there was no end to this matter, because maybe the second one will die, the third one will die. Rather, we're not concerned about the sudden death at all, and we do not need to prepare another woman for the Kohen Gadol to marry. That was the Chachamim's response to the Kohen Gadol. Okay, Mishnah Base, Shiras Hayamim, for the entire 7-day period during which the Kohen Gadol was separated from his home, Huzor Gesadam, he would throw the blood of the daily korban tamid on the Mizbeach, the Maktir Sakatoris, and he would burn the daily Katoris offering, the Meteos and Neros, and he would refresh the lamps of the menorah each morning by cleaning out the ashes of the burnt wicks. Makri was Sarosh was Sarego. He would offer the head and the right hind leg of the korban tamid on Mizbeach, because he had to learn. Because in Yom Kippur, it was all the entire avoda from Yom Kippur had to be done only by the Kohen Gadol, and unlike every other day of the year where they had like lotteries and rotations for different avodos, everything had to be done by him. So he needed to get busy practicing all this stuff. Sharakal Yamin, all the other days of the year, Irma to the Hakri, Makri, if the Kohen Gadol wants to do a particular avoda, he can do it, and the mishmar of Kohanim that would ordinarily make the korban must allow this. We know that there were 24 mishmars of Kohanim, 24 mishmars of Leviim, and same thing for Yisraelim for the Ma'amados. And what would happen is that each mishmar would serve 1 week in the base of Midrash. They come in on Shabbos, they would change Shabbos afternoon, and they would be discharged the following Shabbos. And each mishmar was divided into a base av, and you have 6 base avs one for each day of the week, and they would have and every day they would be different Kohanim doing the avoda of that day. So even if it was that base av's day that day, and the Kohen Gadol comes in and says, "I want to do this avoda," the base av is nullified, and they get what he wants. So Kohen Gadol makriv chelik b'rosh. The Kohen Gadol offers any share of the karbanos that he wishes, taking precedence over all the Kohanim. And he takes any share that he wants from the parts of the karbanos that were distributed to the Kohanim, taking precedence over them. So if he wants to take a piece to eat, or he wants to do an avoda, he goes first, and they can't say anything about it. Mishnah Gimel, Masulo is a Kedem Zikne Basin. So going back to Yom Kippur now, they assigned the Kohen Gadol 2 Chachamim from among the elders of the Sanhedrin to teach him the Hilchos Yom Kippur, all the halachos during the week before Yom Kippur. The Kohen the fun of Seder Yom, on each day of the week, they would read to him from the Torah the parsha that describes the order of the Yom Kippur, and they will expand on its halachas. And they will say to Ishi Kohen Gadol, my master Kohen Gadol, Kara ata beficha, you should read this passage with your own mouth. Shema shechachta, in case you have forgotten its laws. Oh, Shem lo lamalata, or in case you have not learned them. Why would you suspect that a Kohen Gadol wouldn't know the halachas of Yom Kippur? Because as we said before, that there are many Kohen Gadol who bought their way into the Kahuna They did not know the halachas, therefore they had to teach them what the halachas were. Oh, Shema Lalamata. Okay. Erev Yom HaKippur Shachris. On Erev Yom Kippur in the morning, Ma'amidin Osa B'Shat Mizrach, they would have him stand at the eastern gate of the uh, Chatzor of the Beis Hamikdash. U'ma'avirin lefana parim ve'elim l'kevasim. They would pass bulls, rams, and sheep before him. So he should focus on each animal and think of its laws and therefore thereby be proficient in the Avodas Yom Kippur. So, Mr. Dalit. So what about his diet? Let's talk about his diet. Kosh Yamim, throughout the 7 day period before Yom Kippur, when he was separated from his home, lo hayib monim imenu emachal, they would not withhold the food and drink from him. He could eat and drink whatever he wanted, and as much as he wanted, because even if the food and drink would cause him to become tamei, he could purify himself before Yom Kippur. Erev Yom HaKippur in Chashecha, however, on Erev Yom Kippur towards nightfall, just before Yom Kippur began, lo hayu manichin osel echal harbe, they would not allow him to eat a lot, because too much food causes sleep, and the Kohen Gadol had to stay awake for the entire night of Yom Kippur, so he would not experience a discharge that would make him tummy, which he could not purify himself by the morning. So he was not allowed to sleep on Yom Kippur night. So if you don't want to give him so much food. Mishnah Hey. Masru Zikne Beistin. Masru Zikne Beistin. Zikne Kuna. On the day before Yom Kippur, the elders of the court who had read the parsha of the Torah regarding the Yom Kippur to the Kohen Gadol each day, they would hand them over to the elders of the Kohanim, who would teach them how to bring Ketores on Yom Kippur. You have to learn this. On Yom Kippur, the Kohen Gadol would bring into the Kachi Kachim a ladle holding enough Ketores to fill his cupped hands, and a shovel of burning coals of which to burn the Ketores. He would place the shovel on the floor of the holy of the Kachi Kachim, and he would then transfer the Ketores from the ladle into his cupped hands without dropping any of it. This is very difficult to do since you have to hold both hands together to fill them with Ketores, which meant that he did not have a free hand with to pour the Ketores. So instead, he had to hold the ladle with his teeth or his fingertips and carefully tilt it back with his thumbs, thereby transferring the Ketores into his cupped hands. This is one of the most difficult avodas to do in the Beis Hamikdash, and you have to learn how to perform it perfectly. They actually practice within each of the 7 days, not just on Yom Kippur, but they made him swear the shvuah on the day before Yom Kippur, which we're going to talk about in a moment. The holiest base of Tinas, so what was the procedure of handing him over to the Kohanim? So the Zikne based in, they would bring him up to the upper chamber in the Zara, that was called the house of Atinas, the base of Tinas, which is where the Ketores was stored. The Ketores was stored, base of Tinas. Let's just see what this is. 53. Yeah, so the base of Tinas was on the southern side of the Mikdash, which was opposite. The Hedron was on the northern side. This is the base of Tinas is on the southern side, which is like a little bit between the Ulam and the Mizbeach. So they kept the Ketores. Okay, so they brought him into the base of Tinas, and they would make him swear that he would not offer the Ketores in the manner of the Stukim, and then they would take leave of the Kohen Gadol and depart right away, so as not to see the Kohen Gadol's embarrassment at the oath. And when they administered this shvur, they would say to him, Ishi Kohen Gadol, my master Kohen Gadol, Anu Shluchei Beis Din, we are the emissaries of the court, and by that right we are forcing you to swear. V'ata Shlucheinu V'shliach Beis Din, and you are our emissary, and the emissaries of the emissary of the court, and therefore this shvua, this oath, should be interpreted only as intended by us and by the Sanhedrin. Mashpiyan anu alecha b'mish shakin shema b'bayis hazeh. We impose an oath upon you by he who made his name dwell in this temple, in the space of Midrash. So tishana davar mikol ma she'amarnu lach. You will not deviate from all that we have told you regarding the avodas Yom Kippur. And the Kohen Gadol would answer, Amen. Who porish uboche, and the Chachamim, after they administered the shvua, the Kohen Gadol would turn aside and cry because he was suspected of being a tzduki, the hand portion of Ophir, and they would turn aside and cry for having suspected him. Mishnah Vav. If the Kohen Gadol was a Talmid Chacham, Dorish, he would be lecturing, he would be darshaning Torah law throughout the whole night. So he would not fall asleep and perhaps become tamei from a discharge. In love, he was not enough of a Talmid Chacham, because he bought the position, but he could follow one. Then the Chachamim would lecture before him. Being Ragal Lekrosin, he was not even that knowledgeable, but he was accustomed to reading the books of Tanakh. He would read them, and if he didn't even know how to do that, then others would read to him. But which books would they read to him? Be'iyov, Be'ezra, U'Divrei Yomim. They read from the books of Eov and Ezra and from Divrei Yomim, which are interesting, even to someone who's not a Talmid Chacham, and will keep the Kohen Gadol awake the whole night. Zechariah ben Kutel said, "Pa'amim harbe karisi lefonav Daniel." There are many times that I read to the Kohen Gadol from the book of Daniel, which also contains interesting stories. Mr. Zion, two more to go. Pikesh, the Nam name. If the Kohen Gadol is about to doze off, Perek, Kahuna, Makin, Lefana, Be'etzbat, Sarada. Then the young Kohanim would snap their fingers before him to wake him up. And they say to him, Ishi Kohen Gadol, my master Kohen Gadol, Amod v'hafeg achas al haritzpah. Stand on your bare feet and cool yourself for a while on the cold marble floor, which will keep you awake. So, and as the night wore on, they would keep him occupied by singing before him until the time for the shechita of the Kohen Tamid would arrive, which was at dawn, and the daytime service could begin. There are some of us who say that the Kohen Gadol would start to do the Trumas Hadeshin. He is separating the ashes from the outer mizbeach around midnight. Others say that on Yom Kippur this was even done by an ordinary Kohen, not by the Kohen Gadol. And the last mission for today, V'chol Yom Tarmanes HaMizbeach Kriyas Hagever. On every day of the year, they would do Trumas Hadeshin. The Kohen would do Trumas Hadeshin at the crow of the rooster. Oh, Samachlo, or close to it. Whether just before it or just after it. Yom Kippur and Chatzos. And Yom Kippur, though, the Kohen Gadol would start this at any time from Chatzos onward. but he had time to rest before beginning the daytime avoda. Over Galim, Nishmar Rishona, but on the Shlosh Galim, they would separate the when there was an influx of people and there was a lot of ashes to remove. They would separate the ashes already from the first watch, which is already after 1/3 of the night has passed, and there was a lot to do. Below, highest Kriyas given Bagas, and by the time the rooster would crow on the social golem, I Haisa Azara Malaya Israel. The Azara of the Mikdash was already filled with Jews waiting to bring their kabbalas immediately after the current Talmud, that they could not wait so they definitely could not wait until then to do Jewish Hadesh. They had to do it much earlier. Thank you for joining us. We will continue on Sunday at 9 o'clock with Perek Bays of Yoma. Have a wonderful Shabbos. Stay warm and safe wherever you are.